Hi, my name is Matthew Downing with SLCT. Here's what's happening in Sterling and Lancaster. The Bigelow Public Library will be holding a lecture on fake news. Learn how to spot fake news Wednesday, May 31st at 7 p.m. The Sterling Garden Club will be holding their annual plant sale on May 20th from 9 to 11 a.m. on the Sterling Town Common. Come to find perennials, annuals, herbs, shrubs, and trees. The Sterling American Legion will be holding their annual Ham and Bean Supper May 27th at the First Church Hall at 5:30 p.m. Takeout will be available. For tickets, call Bob Temple at 978-479-0086.
I'm Lex Thomas, editor of Sterling Meeting House News. I have a couple of very special guests here with me today in the studio. May is National Lyme Prevention Month. Lyme disease has been on the radar and in the headlines a lot lately, actually over the past couple of years, but a lot lately because there is a great concern about ticks this year and the severity of the disease and the increase in its incidence. So I'm very happy to have with me here the co-founder with her husband of the Central Mass Lyme Foundation, Michelle Miller, who has been a guest with me before. And I also have with me Marilyn Chetnavorian. Now, Marilyn is somebody that is currently battling Lyme disease. She has been dealing with this for quite some time, and she has also been a beneficiary of the resources and help that the foundation has to give. So, first of all, thank you, Marilyn and Michelle, so much for being with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I'm going to start with you, Marilyn. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did this start, and how did you connect up with Michelle?
Well, I'm a realtor, and I was doing real estate, showing homes in Westminster 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years this Memorial Day weekend. And I was on the property, and I left my little visor with netting on the front seat. I said, I won't be that long. I'll just quickly show this house. Well, when we got back in the car, I felt a pain, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was tension, and I backed out of the driveway, and we saw some other homes. And that evening when I was brushing my hair, I said, I think I have a tick. And my husband said, you do. And it was in my upper back. And I said, get it out and get it all out. Don't leave any part in. It took 4 tries to get it out. It was very painful. I said, put it in a bag. I know we need to save it. And let's go to the emergency room. And I chose a small hospital. And we were seen second. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, so I was the second patient seen. And the doctor said, I hear you have a tick bite. And I said, yes, I do. And I even have the tick. He never looked at the bite. And he asked if I had any symptoms. And he said, you're being psychosomatic. So I'm thinking, oh boy.
Was that actually the word he used?
Yes. I have a degree in psychology. You can't, assess someone in less than 2 minutes that they are being psychosomatic. But anyway, I let it pass because I wanted to get doxycycline in me. I knew it wouldn't cure it, but I knew it would probably help me arrest it because it was very soon. It was less than 10 hours. So when you read that it has to be in 24 hours, 72 hours, 48, that's a myth. If the tick is infected, think about it. If it bites you or it burrows in you, like mine did, if it's infected, you are. It goes right into your system.
Sure.
And I felt it. Most people never realize they've been bitten. And I also had my tick and knew enough not to throw it away. People are told all the time, don't save it, don't bother, it's a waste of time. So I sent mine to tickreport.com. But anyway, I did get the doxy in me, and the doctor looked in the bag and he said, that tick is not engorged and doesn't have Lyme disease. And it was an adult female deer tick. So when I received a survey from the hospital, I sent them a letter, and I sent them the results from UMass, from tickreport.com, on the results. It was an adult female deer tick, engorged, and it had Lyme disease. So, I don't know what's going on out there, but people aren't making their symptoms up. But anyway, I was so frantic when this happened, and it was a holiday weekend. And I said, oh, there was some woman who lost her mother to this disease. And I had a friend that had almost lost his life the year before, but his doctor suspected it and put him on antibiotics. So I called the Worcester Public Library and I got Michelle's name. And Michelle said, Marilyn, you need to send this tick off. And she told me where. I knew to save it. And then she said, you need to call this Lyme literate doctor. There's not many of them around. He had a cancellation that Tuesday, right after Memorial Day. I went in that afternoon and things lined up for me. But let me tell you, they don't line up for everyone. So for 6 months after that bite, I was so ill, I didn't even recognize myself. I had to keep lying down, and I have a lot of energy, and I had this deep throaty cough, and I wasn't sick, and everyone said, you don't look sick. Well, you don't. You feel very peculiar inside. It's the only word that I can describe, but you have chills, you have fever. I had 2 anxiety attacks. I never had anxiety.
Did you ever
before.
have the bullseye?
No. I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, only about 30% of people get a bullseye.
That's interesting because, of course, that's one of the things that even when you look this up online and whatnot, they say, you know,
Right.
look for the bullseye.
No,
It's-
no bullseye.
Wow.
No. And what I did was I put alcohol on it. It stung, and I put Neosporin on it. And the doctor commended me. He said, you did the right thing, because usually they come in, it's black and full of pus and scabbing. And so he said, you did, you know, I didn't know what to do. And it was a holiday weekend, and I knew I couldn't go just anywhere, which is a problem too. So anyway, I did have some cognitive issues where I didn't remember recent things. That was very frightening to me.
Of course.
And someone triggered something, and then I remembered it, and I had never had any of these symptoms before. So one of the biggest problems, and I see entire families through our foundation, you know, people go camping, they're gardening, everyone's outdoors, and they're not believed many times by the medical community, and they know about it, and the testing is flawed. We have some labs that are very good, but people still present symptoms, and they're told they don't have Lyme disease. So I would have been told I have fibromyalgia. I know that, but I had the bacteria of a tick in my body.
And you know, it must be very difficult when you're fighting that kind of, you know, the frustration, and as you say, just this very peculiar feeling, and you have to be fighting this fight at a time that you really are not up for it, because you are ill. So where in the process are you now? Where in the treatment are you?
After that 6 months, I'm pretty much not doing anything except prevention.
Right.
And being an advocate for others.
Of course.
And wearing the Tixanol, which is an organic product. It won't harm your clothing, your skin. Just don't get it in your eyes.
Sure.
One thing I did use, and I was told by a nurse in a natural market, that essential oils are very helpful. So I started putting this on the site of the bite. It's called On Guard by doTERRA.
Interesting.
And it wasn't as stiff anymore. My osteopathic doctor said, what are you doing, Marilyn? And I told her, she goes, well, keep on doing it because it's helping.
Do you feel that your health has been restored? Are you yourself again?
Yes. After that 6 months, I started doing Pilates. Before that, I couldn't ride a bicycle. I couldn't go hiking. I was
Sure.
just too fatigued and too ill to do anything. So that brought me out of the darkness. And I know that it's still in my body because last year it left its calling card in my right knee where I've had surgery. There's a slight tear. The knee was out like this for 5 months. That wasn't from that little tear. That was from the bacteria. It travels to weak areas of the body.
Right.
When I get a cold or bronchitis, you know, this latest thing lasts a month. Mine lasts 2 months.
Right.
So this fall I had it in October and November. But I feel like I'm doing well
Right.
and very grateful for it because many people never come out on the other side.
And of course, that's something that you deal with so much, Michelle. Of course, you started the foundation for the saddest of reasons with the death of your own mom.
Yes.
From the complications of advanced Lyme. And you're a tremendous advocate for all of this. Tell us a little bit about what you've brought here and the prevention of Lyme. What can people do?
Okay, well, I'm so glad to hear that Marilyn is a success story
Yes,
because a lot of the people, by the time they contact us, Lex, it's too late. And that's exactly what happened to my mother. And that's why our foundation, we hope that we can raise awareness. So thank you for having us, because number one, raising awareness to this and how serious this disease is.
Sure.
5 years ago, I would have thought you get bit by a tick, you get a rash, you get your medications, and you're good
fine.
to go.
Sure.
Thank God she read that article somewhere and knew enough to keep the tick. And it may sound ridiculous keeping that tick, but it's, in Marilyn's case, it ended up being good because she knew that that tick was infected.
Now, let's talk about that with keeping the tick. So what
Yes.
should people do? So you pull the tick out of you. What do you do with it? What do you put it into?
So you use one of these tools, which we recommend. They're called Tick Ease. And you do not put Vaseline on the tick. You do not put a match towards the tick. You're just going to use the finest tweezers that you have at home
Right.
and try to pull as slowly out as you can, and make sure that you get
The whole thing.
the whole thing.
Right.
You know, the body of the tick is where they're going to be keeping all the bad bacteria. But Ken and I attended a Maine conference this past weekend and found out that even in their salivary glands, in their feeders, they can still be transmitting the bacteria. So if somebody says, Michelle, I can't get the legs out, is that okay?
No. The whole thing's got to
The
come out.
whole thing has to come out.
Okay.
So for Marilyn to even know that from now on she has to keep the tick,
Right.
UMass Amherst has a wonderful tick testing lab. I am going to be taking the tour of this lab tomorrow and seeing exactly behind the scenes what they are doing when somebody sends a tick in.
So now you take the tick, you've got it out of you. What do you put it into?
You moisten a cotton ball if
Okay.
you can. You put the tick on that cotton ball. You put it in a plastic bag. Please use gloves. Don't touch it in any way. And then, I don't know how Marilyn, you mailed it out. I remember the question she said, Michelle, should I insure this? I said, well, if you want to insure it.
Sure.
But it's important to just mail it out. And within 4 to 5 days, Lex, they're going to come back. They're going to email you a
Right.
report. They're going to email you the age of the tick, how long it was feeding on you or another warm-blooded host. It's amazing what the report comes back with.
So it's very, very comprehensive. There's a lot in there.
It is.
Now, one of the things with the foundation is that you have monthly meetings. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And you've got a meeting coming up on May 13th, which is really focusing
This is
on
going.
this. Tell us about the meeting. Tell us where it is,
Okay.
what time, and what are people going to hear about.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, it's Saturday, May 13th. And our meetings are at 90 Holden Street in Worcester at the Universalist Unitarian Church. There's plenty of parking. It's handicap accessible. We're going to be focusing all on prevention.
Now, what time is the meeting?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
And it ends at 3, but sometimes we have people just connecting after the meeting,
Sure.
which is fine too.
Right.
We welcome that.
Yeah. And you have speakers.
We have a guest speaker, Tom Valerio, who's really a great advocate for Lyme disease prevention. Now, this was an educator in the Clinton school system, and he was an avid runner until he got very, very sick with Lyme disease. And unfortunately, his whole family now is battling this illness. So Tom is a good advocate for us. He focuses on prevention. We're going to be selling, like I said, these tickies. They're going to be $10 each. The permethrin treated socks. We're going to be selling these for $20 for a pair. These are treated with permethrin. Ticks do not fly, they crawl. So it's really best to wear permethrin on your shoes and your socks. Do not put permethrin on your skin.
Okay.
It goes right to the bloodstream. It is very, very dangerous.
All right.
We encourage the ticks and all, like what Marilyn brought.
Right.
And we're going to be selling these as well for $10 a bottle. I know that they are currently at some garden centers for $12 a bottle.
Right.
but you can get it at our meeting for $10. So we're going to be having these items for sale. Go to a dollar store, pick up a lint brush. We speak to many surveyors, landscapers.
Sure.
And the minute they get back in their truck, they are seeing ticks crawling all over them.
Oh my.
So we're telling them, get a lint brush.
Get them off.
Pick them all
Yes.
off
Yes.
before you go home
Yes.
and bring them to your family members.
Sure. Sure.
Also good for your pets too.
Yes.
You can use them on your
Yeah,
pets.
because of course pets with being
Right.
outdoors and whatnot,
They bring it in.
they bring
They're
it right
bringing them
into the
in.
house. What do you have to say about that? How can people protect themselves?
You know, my dog has a permethrin treated collar. We do daily tick checks on her, just like we're doing daily tick checks on ourselves.
Sure.
When I go to the schools too, I do kind of a tick check game with the kids.
Right.
Because they're the ones that after school,
Sure.
they may be going to soccer, the baseball field, the
Sure.
football field. And then by the time they get home, and I hope they do shower or bathe before going to bed,
Right.
because I hear a lot of horror stories from parents saying, my son, I think he slept with it all night. And
Right.
I mean,
Sure.
in Marilyn's case, we know that it doesn't take very long.
Yeah, that's got to just come right off of
Unfortunately.
you. Now, I know that you've also got your annual conference coming up, and
Yes.
I will welcome you back during the
Thank
summer to
you.
talk about that. But
Thank
just give
you.
us an
Yes.
idea here of when that is and how people can get involved with
Okay.
that.
Well, this is our third conference
Right.
on Lyme disease.
Yes.
And our board's mission is to double the attendance that we've had in the past 2 years.
Wonderful.
The first conference, I think we had a little under 500. So we're hoping to have at least 1,000 at this
Fantastic.
conference.
And what is the date and
It's
where is
Saturday, September 23rd. It's going to be at the Worcester Technical High School. We had it there last year. I thought that was a perfect venue, plenty of parking. We are so fortunate to have the ROTC. They help people park. We have the Worcester Police directing traffic.
Sure.
We have the Worcester Technical High School students helping people, navigate the school. We have over 20 exhibitors that are going to be in the hallway. And we have a great lineup of speakers. Our honorary keynote speaker is Dr. Kenneth Ligner. We have Dr. Daniel Cameron. These are all Lyme literate physicians.
Right.
These are the doctors that Marilyn or anybody else that gets bit by a tick and starts to get symptoms needs to see.
Right.
These are the most knowledgeable physicians.
Right. Well, thank you, Michelle, for all of your work on
Thank
this. I know
you.
that this has been a difficult journey for you personally, but you have done so much with it. And Marilyn, thank you for joining us, and wish you all the best with your continued good health and for being such an advocate for this. May is Lyme Disease Prevention Month. Very important information you've heard here, and do take care. And we will have the website up
Thank
on
you.
screen for you
Great.
as well. And these are really the folks to talk to. So thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
with
Lex.
me.
Thank you, Lex.
There will be a lecture, Wild About Whales, at the Thayer Memorial Library, May 16th at 6:30 p.m. Learn about the largest creatures on Earth. Registration is required by calling 978-368-8928, extension 4. The Sterling Neighbor to Neighbor Fund was established to help Sterling residents during difficult economic times. If you are interested in helping the cause or donating, contact Pat Fox at 774-275-1174. The First Church Lancaster will be the host of an art exhibit for the month of May. This exhibit will showcase the works of local artists. The artwork will be viewable on Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 2 p.m. I'm Matt Downing, and that's what's happening.